Hi, I'm Jason Khalipa, and welcome to the AMRAP Mentality Podcast, a show where we interview interesting people about how they make the most out of every single minute. On today's episode, we have Ben Smith, 10 times CrossFit Games individual athlete, CrossFit Games champion, owner of CrossFit Krypton, and overall phenomenal guy. We sat down, we talked about how him and his wife balance him competing for the last 10 years, how he's owned an affiliate, how he has online programming, and how he's stayed at the top of this sport for so long. We dive into his kind of preemptive mental strength before he gets into an event. What is his mantra? What is he thinking about? And then what are his goals for the expectations for each year? And how does he stay relevant? And what I really took away, one of the biggest things, was that Ben Smith is a guy who's dedicated to his craft, who puts in the work, and has been putting it in for a long, long time. I hope you enjoy this episode as much as I did, and I hope you have a great day. All right, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the AMRAP Mentality Podcast. I'm here with a longtime friend and fierce competitor in the CrossFit Games, affiliate owner, and just overall great dude, Ben Smith. Thank you for taking the time today.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
So on the AMRAP Mentality Show, we like to keep it 20 to 30 minute AMRAPs. For you, I think we could talk for a long time. So we're gonna go. How about call it a 25-minute AMRAP with Ben Smith on life, fitness, family, and kind of tell some war stories. Sound good?
Sure. Yeah, sounds good.
All right, we start the clock in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. So Ben, man, the first memory that I have of Ben Smith, this was like in 2000 and I want to say it was right before the CrossFit Games, right after the CrossFit Games in 2008. We had put out like these YouTube videos, like these challenges.
Oh yeah.
And I remember my wife was the one who was deciding who the winner was. So what we would do is I'd film a YouTube challenge. It'd be, I don't know, do 50 thrusters and 50 pull-ups for time, and submit your video on YouTube, and the winner got Progenics, or winner got something like really small, right? It wasn't
it was always something that was pretty awesome for me.
Yeah. And you were at the time, I remember, so my wife was reviewing the videos and she comes to me, she's like, hey, that guy Ben Smith won again. I'm like, who the hell is Ben Smith? And I remember watching your video, there was one in particular that just stands out like the night and day, is you were in like your college fitness center doing like pull-ups on one of those like regular racks. You remember these videos?
Yeah, they had like 2 power racks in the gym when I was doing pull-ups, and I think one of the workouts was like that. It was Freddy's Revenge. You remember that one? It was push jerks and
like shoulder over head and burpee.
Yeah,
dude. So then this guy won. I'm like, oh man, this guy he's on our radar. So then fast forward, right? You have the 2009 CrossFit Games, right? So you competed in 2009 at the ranch. So you've competed at this. You're a 10-time CrossFit Games athlete as an individual, which is just incredible. And then you did Team USA with me. I want to say, was it once or twice?
I think it was that one time that they had 3 people on a team, and it was me, you, and Rich.
And then you've done it twice? Or you've done it once?
I think I've done it one other time, maybe 2 other times. I don't remember.
Yeah, and then you've done open announcements. You've done different stuff. So, 10-time CrossFit Games competitor. You started in 2009 on the ranch. Then obviously you transitioned to Carson, right, at the Home Depot Center.
Yep.
And then most recently you just finished the CrossFit Games there in Madison, Wisconsin.
Yep.
And so my question to you is, out of all the events, and you and I were talking about this earlier, which one stands out as, I mean, you've competed now 10 times in probably at this point, well over 100, 150 CrossFit Games events, right? Which adds to your, credibility, obviously. Which one do you think has been the most challenging or left you the most just like not even knowing what's going on?
That's a lot of events. I never thought of it like that before. No, that's about right. I'd say the one year that really stands out, I think it was 2014, was the sled. Maybe it was 2014 was this sled sprint where we had that diamond-shaped sled, and you just had to, it was just for time, like 110 yards across the field, and then rested a minute or two,
and then came back.
And then did it again on the way back.
And it was scored as 2 separate events. I think they were both 50 points.
Yeah.
I'll never forget that. Me and Tommy Hackenbrook were racing on that event. And it was like this sleek-looking, like really cool looking Rogue sled.
Yeah.
But like we were all trying to figure out the technique in the back. Like, should we lift it up?
Oh, I remember. We were lined up behind people. We had 4 heats, and you were I would think I was like the 3rd or the 4th one, and Neil Maddox was right ahead of me.
Yeah.
Neil Maddox, and then I'm watching him
like
go.
used some
He
technique.
picked the thing up and just carried it down the whole
Yeah.
field, won the heat.
Yeah.
I was like, what
I
is
think
going
Dave,
on?
I think Dave was like,
Dave was screaming at all of
Yeah.
us. He's like, you can't do that. You can't
Yeah.
do that.
Dude, I mean,
Yeah.
that one stands out for me because when you got done, you're just laying there, which reminds me a lot of, remember the 2009 hill run?
Oh,
the
that one was
sandbag?
bad too. I didn't go hard enough at that one for it to be really bad, but that one was bad.
Dude, I remember I just ran back. I picked up the sandbag. I'm running up the hill, and I'm in the lead. I'm like, oh, my God, I'm in the lead. Then all of a sudden we get towards the end, and Chris Spieler, that little mean guy, just passes me right by. I'm like, oh. So I ended up laying there for a while. Just, but another one that kind of like really kind of sticks in my mind was the Camp Pendleton. Remember that microwave mountain?
Yeah,
Dude.
that was pretty brutal. It was like we didn't know how long we were running for.
Oh, my
we had
God.
no idea. Like you would pass 3 different people, then they had like checkpoints. The first guy was like, "Yeah, you only got a mile left," and then you run a mile, and the next guy's like, "Yeah, you only got a mile and a half left," and it just went like that the whole way. So I stopped asking.
So we were on a Camp Pendleton. This was a military base for those of you who aren't familiar, and they had Marines stationed every so often,
Yeah,
right? Whatever that was. And I remember we'd get to them and be like, and at that point, you're not really running. You're kind of like fast jogging, if that, right? I'd be like, dude, like, how far are we? Be like, oh, dude, you're almost there. And it was like an oasis, right? And the way these mountains worked is you go up and you go down, you go up, you go down. And man, so I finished that event, oddly enough. And that was the first time in my life I had I just peed myself. I was so like mentally, physically, whatever, exhausted. And then remember after that we had to recover and do the Camp Pendleton.
The obstacle course right after that.
God.
Yeah,
dude, that was a hell of a year.
that beat
man.
people up. Yeah,
Oh,
that was a hard event.
Yeah, that was a tough event. And so we talk about the sled push. We're talking about the Camp Pendleton. But then we also talk about events that are really good. And so for me, ones that stand out, obviously, are ones you do well on, of course.
Yeah.
But like Burden Run for me stands out, and my half marathon row, because both of those, I knew I was going to win before I won, which is pretty rare in CrossFit, right? Most of the time in the CrossFit Games, it's real neck to neck. Like you and I have raced plenty of times, and maybe you get it, maybe you don't, but you just get to celebrate maybe for the last 2 seconds.
Sure.
But like, have you ever had those events? Like for me, it was the half marathon row. I knew I was going to win with maybe 3 to 5 minutes left because I saw how far I was ahead. And the Burden Run, I came into the stadium alone. Now, did you have any of those events, and which one stands out to you as like one that you really got to embrace and celebrate on?
Yeah, I didn't have too many like straight up victories. I think I've only won an event or 2 ever. I think I was right behind you on the Burden Run. I think I was 2nd or 3rd, which like stuff like that always feels good. Like when I come in there and you're right in front of me, I know I'm in a good place, right? But yeah, no events like that. I haven't been in a lot of them. Like all the endurance events, I'm do okay at, but I don't ever just crush them or anything. So
yeah, well, I mean, you won the games in 2015.
Yes.
And then you took so you've taken. So we were actually doing the math a little bit ago. Not the math's that hard. We were looking at Rich has been on the podium 5 times. Matt's been on the podium 5 times, and these are based on what we believe. You've been on the podium 4 times, and I've been fortunate enough to be on there 3 times. Now, out of those 4, so like if you were to ask me, hey Jason, so you've been on the podium, you've taken a 1st, a 2nd, and 3rd. Which one was your most kind of like proudest year?
Sure.
Like if you asked me, I would say it was probably the year that I took 3rd, and the reason why I say that is when I took 1st, I had won the games with maybe a year of training. And back in 08, I won and I went and got In-N-Out Burger. It was just kind of like a low-key thing, right? It wasn't like a big deal.
It's Dave's
right?
backyard, right?
Yeah, you remember that. And then, when I took 2nd, I had actually had hopes of taking 1st because I had just dominated that whole weekend.
Sure.
But I just couldn't finish it off, and Rich beat me. Right?
Yeah, and you dedicated a little bit more of yourself that year in training, way more than you did the year before.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, you went from 08, and now at this point, you're in 2013, so I put in all these years, so it meant so good to me. But at the same time, I started a weekend off in 1st. I had kept in the top 1st, so that when I took 2nd, it was kind of like I knew I was going to take 2nd type of thing, right? But when I took 3rd, I was in.
And that was 2013?
Yeah.
Is that right? So you took a break for a couple years, right?
No, I mean, I competed all those years. I just wasn't back on the podium.
Sorry, break from winning on the podium.
Yeah,
Yes.
And then so 2014, right, comes around. And I don't know if you remember that year, but in 2014, we had the rope climb and like a heavy, I want to say like overhead squat. Remember that
I
event?
do. Yeah, it was
And he
one of
did
the
double
last
grace.
events. Yes.
Remember that one?
Hmm.
So I had in 2014, I had gone into it maybe in fifth or sixth place. I can't remember. And because of those last two events, it put me on the podium.
Hmm.
And so it was like, I wasn't expecting it. So that was a moment that I felt like, man, like this was a great accomplishment. So
Yeah.
for you, out of your four, eh, eh, out of your four podium accomplishments,
Sure.
which one kind of stands out to you as like, that was the best year?
They were all pretty great, obviously, because we talked about like when you do well, those are the ones you remember. But I'd have to say the first one that I finished third because it was coming back from I think I was like 64th or something the first year, and then I finished 8th the next year, and then that gave me that hope like, hey, I can compete in this, and then the next year I finished on the podium. So like that just kind of like set forth the next 3 to 5 years of me competing, like knowing that I can be at the top and knowing that I can compete. It gave me that confidence.
Yeah, it set the tone.
Yeah, it set the tone, right?
You belonged there.
Yeah, and then it was like I wasn't going to stop until I won at some point, right? So I was like, I know I can win. Like I know it's there in me. I know I have it. I know I'm capable of it. And it just took me, 7 tries to do it. But
Right.
yeah, no, I knew it was there, and I think that third place really solidified, like, gave me confidence going into the next couple of years.
So speaking of confidence, we talk about earned confidence, the idea that you put in the work and you can go there and feel comfortable. I used to wear a wristband that said earned on it because for me, I look at guys like you, we're on the bus together, and at times, you're feeling a little anxious. You remember those moments just as well as I
Sure.
do. And you're like, but dude, I've earned the right to be here through regionals, open, hard work. And it made me at ease, right? Because I earned it just as much as you did, and you earned it just as much as I did, but I belonged there, right? No one gave me a damn thing. And so, if you had any advice for, athletes who want to go to CrossFit Games, athletes who want to compete in the sport of fitness, what advice would you have as a 10-time veteran in the sport? What do you feel like is a cornerstone that allowed you to stay consistent for so long?
So, I mean, like what you just said was the earned thing. Okay. So, like, you put in hundreds and hundreds of thousands of hours of work before you could say that. You can't just step up and be like, hey, I earned this. Like, I got this. I can do this. It's like, no, there's a prerequisite to that.
Yep.
And that prerequisite is the dedication and the commitment to trying to be a little bit better every single day.
Yep.
And it's like, that's the key, and that's what you need to focus on. And sure, your goal can be, I want to go to the games someday, or I can't say compete in regionals anymore. I want to compete at the games one day. Okay, that can be your goal. That's fine.
Yep.
That's awesome. But the focus has to be on the single thing that you can do every day to get a little bit better.
Yeah, at night, something I think about all the time is like, how did I do today as a husband, a father, with my fitness and with the business, and where are my strengths, where are my weaknesses today? And if I can keep doing that, when I was competing at the highest level, I would say, hey, how did I do to put myself in the best position to win, right? What did I do today? And what did I not do today? And then tomorrow I'll try and fix it.
You have to honestly evaluate yourself.
100%.
Like if you're not honest with yourself, you're lying to yourself. You're never going to progress forward. So, just having to evaluate yourself like you say you do every day, which is awesome. Like, but do it honestly, and that's how you really make progress.
Yeah, because it's like you being a coach at your gym, and you say to someone, hey, did you do your best you could on this workout? If they say yes to you, then you nod your head. You say, okay, because who am I to judge you? But you need to be honest with yourself, right? Like,
exactly.
Did you truly put in the work today that you believe is going to put you in the best position to be successful and get to where you want to be?
Yes.
And that goes for a number of things. So, switching gears a little bit from the CrossFit Games side to, let's talk about business a little bit. Now, CrossFit Krypton has done, really well over the years.
Sure.
Right?
We've grown since we've opened, which is awesome. And yeah, it's been
now,
great.
You bought your own building.
Yeah, we bought the land and then built the building, and then we have that now. So
you have hundreds of members coming in. You still coach on a regular basis. You have an online programming that you do, the Ben Smith Blueprint, which I know does really well. So, in your opinion, has the CrossFit Games, you think, has being a CrossFit Games champion impacted your business, or not as much as people think?
So I would say that my success at the games definitely correlates over to assisting, like, help in the business side of it, right? For sure. Like, just the name gets out there a little bit more. It's talked about a little bit more, that kind of thing. Or, but so yes, in that way it does help. But I think it's still, you can be the CrossFit Games champion and own a gym and come to somebody's gym and it not be what you want it to be.
Yeah.
So you have to have a you have to have the right business, and you have to have the right business mindset, and you have to treat people well, and I think that's more important than anything. So like, you can have all the fame and the publicity, but you got to use it for the right purposes.
Yeah, I mean, we talk about all the time. People ask me like, "Hey, do you think by winning the CrossFit Games in 2008 it catapulted your business?" I said, "Well, hey, it surely didn't hurt." But when a new member comes in, if they have a subpar experience, or if you're a jerk, they're not going to stay with you, right? And I think people have this perception that, hey, if you go compete, you're going to have a successful business. That's not true, right? Because people are smart with their money, and they want to be associated with good people. Yeah. And so on that note, right? So your business is going well. Now you got married how many years ago? 3 years ago. And how long were you guys dating?
A while. Since in the high school, like sophomore year of high school, junior year of high school.
There you go. Like so a little high school sweetheart. Same thing with me. Now, tell me more about how does competing, what have you learned through competing and relationships? Like, I know we were talking about that a little bit more, but as a person who wants to get into the CrossFit Games, or you in particular, like, how do you balance training full time, owning a business, and staying married ultimately?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about sacrifices, right? I think that's a kind of a good place to go with it. But you have to sacrifice some things in order to achieve whatever dreams you might have. So like, you're married, right? Your husband or wife has a dream. You also have a dream or a goal. You guys have to both understand that you each want to go in these two directions, and you have to somehow figure out a way to work together and help each other achieve the goals without straying too far off the path one way or the other.
Yeah.
It's a constant balance, and it teaches me how to communicate. I've become a better person for it. But it just helps in the fact that you have to learn how to communicate and work together.
Yeah, because they have goals, you have goals, and if yours can't overshadow, but maybe at times they have to for a short period of time, then you have to something that my wife and I do all the time is I have to ask myself, like, hey, am I being selfish with what I'm trying to accomplish and hindering her from where she wants to get to?
Sure.
I think that's an important discussion. You just got to communicate effectively.
Yeah, that's huge.
Now, your brothers have obviously gotten into the game, right?
Yeah.
You have Alec, you have Dane. Alec made it to the CrossFit Games.
He's been there twice.
And
then Dane, I think, has done regionals 3 times now.
Yep. And so, what is that training atmosphere like? Like, I like to tell people that I love training. I still love training today, but I used to really love training with the homies, get Garrett around these other guys, and we would just hit it hard, and I would embrace it. And then from there, competing was just a byproduct of all this training, right?
That's exactly what I said this year. I think somebody asked me that question, and that was my exact word I used. I just enjoy training, and I love doing it, and the atmosphere is great, and it makes it fun so that you don't even really feel like you're I don't know what to say. I don't know how to say it well.
You're not working. You're just
you're enjoying it. You're having fun. You're hanging out, right? And then the games are a test so that you can see where you're at. It's an honest test that doesn't lie, right?
I 100% agree with you. I think people are doing themselves a detriment if they find a program that they want to stick with, and they're doing it, alone in their garage for years. And they're never feeling the sense of camaraderie and community. Because I made the argument that it wasn't the program I was following, because frankly, we were just creating it on our own, right? It was more so the environment we were placing ourselves in. Now, every now and then, is it great to train your garage? Of course, you want to build those mental skills. I think what's even more important, and correct me if I'm wrong, but putting yourself in an environment where all of you guys want to raise the bar. Like, there's no, it's not a by chance that your brother and your other brother are performing well in CrossFit. It's because you've kind of set the tone, and they keep raising the bar, and you all raise the bar together. Look at the pan checks, same thing.
Yeah, and then they're another great example. But it's just that group dynamic, like wanting to try to just be a little bit better. It's because some days you come in and you might not be as motivated to train as the guy next to you, but him being motivated fires you up to start getting after it. And then by the time you know it, you trained hard 7 days this week versus you would have trained hard like 2 or 3.
2 or 3.
Right.
And so would you say that's one of the biggest things that have been keys to your success for a decade? I mean, I've competed in the CrossFit Games 8 times.
Yeah.
You obviously got me with 10. And but would you say that one of the keys that you think is the success? Obviously, I want to talk about mindset a little bit.
Yeah.
But from actual like training, putting the hours, working hard, you feel like a lot of it has to do with putting yourself in positions of
Community, yes, having a
community.
couple people around you that at all times that are that have similar goals, right? It might not be to win the CrossFit Games, but it's to get a little bit better. That's the goal, and yeah, that's huge.
Yeah.
That's definitely one of the components.
Yeah, I think so too. So now let's talk about the mindset a little bit. So you're going to the CrossFit Games. You've made sacrifices with your family. You've made sacrifices, with the business, maybe a little bit. But you're going to the CrossFit Games. What type of mindset? What type of things are you telling yourself leading up into the CrossFit Games, and then also, in addition to, like right before an event starts? Is there a mantra you're going through? How does that look like?
So I'll use this year as an example. So this year, my mindset going into it was I wanted to compete. So I wanted to be as tough of a competitor as I possibly could be. And I know that if I go out there and I have that mindset and I'm competing to win, I'm not just competing to compete. I'll put myself in a position at the end of the workout or the end of the weekend to be up at the
contender,
top, a contender, right?
Yeah.
And then if I'm in that pressure situation, I do better under pressure than I do if I'm like out, like we talked about, if I'm outside the top 10,
it's
right?
tough.
It's much more difficult to get back into it. But if you're in there and you're up in it, I'm much better in those scenarios. So
Yeah.
that was my mindset, was just to go in and be as competitive as I could.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it earlier. It's really tough. For me, I've probably been outside the top 10 heat, maybe, I don't know, maybe like for maybe 2 days in my entire CrossFit Games history. I'm sure it's roughly the same for you, like 2 or 3 days, give or take. Except for early on, right?
For this last year.
Yeah,
last
but
2
like
years.
a couple days, right?
Yeah,
But when you're not in the top 10 heat, right, it's very challenging because let's just say you win your heat, you don't know what the next heat's doing.
Sure. You
And
still have
back to
sit
the
and
whole
wait.
idea of competing with your peers, right? If you're in the top 10 heat, now all of a sudden it raises everybody up, right? But if you are in the lower 20, there's just the competition is just different, right? And
Sure.
so you got to get yourself into that top 10. You got to get yourself in a position where you're a contender for those spots.
Yes.
So now right before the event goes off, right? 3, 2, 1's about to go. You've competed in hundreds of events. What's Ben Smith doing? What's Ben Smith thinking?
I'm trying to relax, trying to stay nice and relaxed, stay within myself. I don't like to go out too crazy hard. I know we probably have different mindsets in that way, right? Exact opposite. I'm trying to stay relaxed on the starting block. But yeah, that's what I'm telling myself. And you trust yourself. Like you've done it before. You know what you're doing.
You know what you're doing.
Trust yourself, but push your limits.
Right.
Right.
So now, something I would do is like, let's just say, we've had plenty of times where you have an event, then you might have 2 hours, you might have 3 hours. And remember back in the day, it wasn't as structured as it is now with, hey, you're going to, I try and listen to chill music, try and keep my energy low because I don't want to expend energy on anything other than where it needs to go.
That was one of the things this year, last couple of years, is the stuff behind the scenes. Nobody sees any of that stuff. Like there's meeting after meeting and like you got to be there 3 hours early for a 20-minute meeting, and it's just there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff that people don't see, and that's taxing on some people.
It is. Especially for the newcomers, right? I mean, being a rookie in this sport is tough because you go in there, high anxiety, they don't know what to expect. And so I think for me as a veteran in the sport, right, I kind of came up with my mantra. Like I used to think about like moving fast, right? But trying to breathe slow is something I used to think about a lot, right?
Sure.
And with a couple minutes left, trying to ramp it up. Now, earlier in my career, I wasn't as good at that. I would just kind of redline it, and that worked out well.
That helps you stay relaxed, right?
Yeah.
Breathe slow.
Yeah. But like after years of the mantra, right, I used to try and think about, hey, let me move at the speed that I need to be a contender, to your point.
Yes.
But let me try and keep my breath low so that my heart rate doesn't elevate so I don't spike. Because once you spike.
That's what I mean by staying relaxed.
Yep. Yeah. Once you spike, you're spiked.
Right.
And you're already, the thing about it is like, you don't need to jack yourself up. When you go into an arena and there's thousands of people there, you're already going to get jacked up.
Yeah.
You need to chill.
Yeah.
And so, okay, so you got your, kind of the Ben Smith mentality, right? Staying nice and chill. You're a veteran. Now, as a rookie coming into the CrossFit Games, what is the recommendation for them to think about when they hit the competition floor?
Well, they're probably going to be a lot more hyped up, right?
Yeah.
Which could be a good thing in some scenarios and could be a bad thing in others. But I think there's just a learning curve. Like you're going to come in and you're going to compete, and it might take you a year, it might take you 3 years, right? But there's a learning curve to understanding where your mindset needs to be going into each event.
Yeah, and I think the more competition experience someone can get, the better. Because the only way, competition is like a skill. Yes. And you can't develop these skills like you were talking about it earlier, where like the earned confidence, and like I talk about it a lot, is that if the CrossFit Games are a PhD, well, you got to go through your high school, undergrad, etc. And good ways to do this is by doing other events where they could develop this skill of competing. There's a lot of people, as you know, who are good in their garage, but all of a sudden they get to the CrossFit Games and they can't perform.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but yeah, it's you do see it often.
You see it all the time, right?
Right.
I mean,
and I think it is just practice and repetition and being used to the environment and comfortable in your own at that intensity level.
Yeah, the CrossFit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 10-time CrossFit Games athlete. What does the future hold for Ben Smith? Where are you at? How many more years do you think mentally, physically you could stay in the game? Right now we're in the month of September. We're here at the Granite Games.
Mm-hmm.
What's your mindset for the next couple months? Are you chilling? Are you?
Yeah, we talked about where I'm kind of like in a position right now where I don't know what's next, right? Because we don't know what the season's going to look like.
Right.
We don't know how you're going to be able to qualify for the games. We don't know how many people are going to be at the games.
Right.
I mean, if they take, let's say they take one person from every country and there's 162 countries, I don't know if that's going to be successful or not.
So the bottom line, are you moving to Africa?
Yeah. We're going to start a gym in Madagascar.
Yeah.
No, I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, and that goes into something we talk about a lot, is like knowing what you control and what you can't control, right?
Exactly.
And in this case, it's totally outside the scope.
Yes.
What you could do is be a good husband, run a good business, and influence a lot of athletes.
Those are my focuses right now. That's exactly what I'm doing. So I have my programming online. I'm coaching a little bit at the gym, and I'm trying to be as good as I can at home.
Dude, well, I love it, man. Well, Ben, so tell everybody, where can they find Ben Smith? Where can they, I know you got your Instagram. We were talking about that earlier, right? Is it just at Ben?
I think it's bsmith13.
bsmith13. And how about the website? What's the best website?
Website. I have it's bensmithblueprint.com.
bensmithblueprint.com.
Yeah, and we have an Instagram page and then a website too, which has all the info on there.
Perfect. So if you're looking for competitor programming, they also have gym stuff there.
Affiliate programming.
Check it out. Ben, really appreciate it, and let's go crush these charity workouts. Huh?
Yeah. Thanks, Jason.
All right, bro.